talking about all these interesting things, but at the end of the day, we're looking at return on investment. We want to know, has it worked? And very often we would look at the bottom line of our sales and say, okay, well, that campaign didn't work because I didn't generate 20% extra sales. But there are other metrics that we can use to determine whether or not a campaign has worked or an ad set has worked. Can you speak to me a little bit about the metrics that you keep an eye on? I know there's vanity metrics, so the metrics that make us feel all warm and fuzzy inside, but don't really deliver on the bottom line. But what are the metrics that you think are important, that you keep an eye on, and that you recommend our clients keep an eye on?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a handful of metrics that we always do look at. A great example to start is the difference between impressions and reach. A lot of ad agencies would always scream out the word impressions because that's how many eyeballs have seen it, but it's not a unique number. So for example, we would rather look at the reach number. Reach is unique. So to give you an idea, if I see an ad once, my impressions are 1, my reach is 1. I see the ad again, reach is 1, impressions is 2. So an example there is we'd look at the reach number. If you have access to the pixel and the pixel's being uploaded on your website, would be something like not just looking at the clicks or link clicks, you're looking at landing page views. So that's important.
So traffic to your website.
Yeah, and actually went to the website, because you need to understand someone might click and before your page even loads, they realize they clicked by mistake and then shift it off. So that, and then it's really important. Facebook's made it really easy. If you've got the pixel on your site, they've got an event setup tool now. Set up those conversions. Tell the system what's important to you. So is that someone completing a lead form on your website? Is that someone clicking on your email address to send you an email? So those metrics are really important for me to look at, but also to understand you can tell the system to get more of those conversions. So for me, I would say those are probably the key metrics that we look at all the time. And you can look at things like the cost of those metrics. So what do I mean by that is when looking at the impression number, we've got something called CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. So you're seeing how much is it costing me to reach that audience. And it's important because you need to do how much it costs to reach that audience to determine how much your CPC is. We mentioned that earlier, how much your cost per click is, and then how much a conversion costs. So why would I look at all three of those? The reason being is if your CPM is skyrocketing, if your CPM is really high, your CPC is going to be really high, which means your cost per conversion is going to be really high. So you need to make sure that those three key metrics are in line to help that bottom line that we mentioned about. Because you need to make sure the CPM is low, CPC is low, cost per conversion is low. So that's, for me, I would say probably key metrics. But when you do go in Business Manager, you'll see there's about 200 different metrics that you can look at. But again, it just goes down to the objective. But for me, it's reach. I'm just going to say them again. It's reach, link clicks, or page views, just depending on what you're doing, and then the conversion breakdown. So that's for someone that's really sales focused, lead focused. Yeah, that's probably.
I think what's interesting from following that process that you outline there is that it will also highlight for you if you've got glitches in the system. So when we can see that people are responding to the ad set and they're clicking through to the website, but they're falling off during the navigation on the website, that is not the ad failing. It'll help us identify that there's possibly a website design issue or an out of stock issue. So to say that my website sales didn't go up, so therefore the ads didn't work. But if we look at those metrics, we are able then to determine that possibly there's a problem on your website, or there's if it's call the store and the store's not receiving any calls, check the telephone line, things like that. So I think it gives us a nice clear picture of other potential pitfalls